Section of notes, we're going to talk about the differences between ser and estar. They both mean to be, but they're going to be used in different situations. So we're going to start with the forms of ser, and we're going to look at these in the present, preterite, future, and imperfect tenses. The present tense forms of ser are yo soy, tú eres, usted, él, ella, es, nosotros somos, ustedes, ellos, and ellas son. The preterite tense endings of ser are yo fui, tú fuiste, usted, él, and ella fue, nosotros fuimos, ustedes, ellos, ellas fueron. Ser is not used very frequently in the preterite tense, and it may look familiar to you because it has the same forms as ir. Ser in the future tense is yo seré, tú serás, usted, él, ella será, nosotros seremos, ustedes, ellos, ellas serán. Notice there's an accent mark everywhere except nosotros, and we add our ending right to the infinitive form. And this translates to will be. Ser in the imperfect tense is conjugated yo era, tú eras, usted, él, ella era, nosotros éramos, ustedes, ellos, ellas eran. Notice the accent in the nosotros form, and also that the yo and the usted, él, and ella are the same. So we need to use context to decide who we're talking about. We're going to move on to the forms of estar, and we're going to look at these in the same tenses. The present tense form of estar is yo estoy, tú estás, usted, él, ella está, nosotros estamos, ustedes, ellos, ellas están. Notice that we have accent marks in the tú form, the usted, él, and ella form, and in the ustedes, ellos, and ellas form. Estar in the preterite tense is yo estuve, tú estuviste, usted, él, and ella estuvo, nosotros estuvimos, ustedes, ellos, and ellas estuvieron. Estar in the future tense is yo estaré, tú estarás, usted, él, ella estará, nosotros estaremos, ustedes, ellos, ellas estarán. Notice that we have accents everywhere except for the nosotros form. And estar in the imperfect is yo estaba, tú estabas, usted, él, ella estaba, nosotros estábamos, ustedes, ellos, and ellas estaban. To remember when to use ser, we want to remember the word doctor. And doctor stands for description, someone's physical appearance, we use ser. Someone's occupation, their profession, like being a teacher. Their characteristics, which talks about their personality. The time and the date. Someone's origin or nationality, where they're from. And the R stands for a couple of things, relationship, race, and religion. So all of those situations, we need to use ser. For estar, we want to remember the word place. The P stands for position, so on top of, next to the right of, to the left of. Location, maybe where a building is in a city. Action, that goes with your verbs that end in ando and yendo, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in this presentation. C is for condition, being sick, being tired, being sick and tired. And E is for emotion, happy, sad, depressed, any of those things. So we're going to talk in this part about the present progressive, which goes with our A in place, our action that ends in ando and iendo. So to start off with, whenever you form the present progressive, you need to have two verbs, always two verbs. And this is going to talk about what you are doing. So it's the ing ending. So our first verb is going to be estar. That's why it's one of our uses of estar. And we're going to conjugate that in the present tense. That's why it's called the present progressive. So just a quick review of those forms of estar in the present tense. Yo estoy, tú estás, usted, él, ella está, nosotros estamos, ustedes, ellos, ellas están. And remember those accent marks because if you don't have them, these are different words with different meanings. The second verb is called the gerund, and the gerund is the ing ending in English. So in Spanish, to form the gerund, we take off the AR, ER, or IR of the second verb, and to an AR verb we add ando, to an ER verb we add iendo, and to an IR verb we add iendo. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. In your packet, you have yo hacer la tarea, tú escuchar la música, and ella escribir el informe. So the first thing we have to do is conjugate the verb estar for the person in parentheses. And the second thing we have to do is take the verb and take off the AR, ER, or IR and add either ando or iendo. So for number one, it would be yo estoy haciendo la tarea. I am doing the homework. For number two, tú estás escuchando la música. You are listening to music. Number three, ella está escribiendo el informe. She is writing the report. Sometimes when we form the gerund, we're going to have three vowels in a row, and we can't have that in Spanish. So this rule is only going to apply to ER and IR verbs. You do not need to worry about this with AR verbs. So when you form the gerund, if you have three vowels in a row, you're going to change the I to a Y. So let's take a look at the verb destruir. The first thing I'm going to do to form the gerund is I'm going to take off the IR. When I do that, I'm left with the vowel U. The second thing I'm going to do is add my iendo. And if you notice, when I do that, I have three vowels in a row, U, I, E. I can't have that combination in Spanish, so I need to change the I to a Y, and my gerund form becomes destruyendo. Let's take a look at the verb leer, which is also going to follow this rule. So the first thing I do is take off the ER, and that leaves me with the vowel E. The second thing I do is I add iendo, and you can see that I have three vowels, E, I, E. So we have to change the I to a Y, and my gerund form becomes leyendo. Let's take a look at one more example, the verb oír. This is kind of a weird verb. So the first thing I do is I take off my IR, which leaves me with the vowel O. It's okay. Then I add iendo. So see, I have those three vowels again. So I'm going to have to change my I to Y, and I get oyendo. Just like all our other tenses, we do have irregulars in our gerund form. But the nice thing about this is there's a couple rules for which verbs will be irregular, so that'll help us learn them a little bit easier. So the only verbs that are going to be irregular are IR verbs, and they also have to be stem changers in the present tense. So if they're an IR verb and they're a stem changer in the present tense, we're going to change them one of two ways. Either changing the E to an I or the O to a U. And we're going to look at some examples of this. So in your packet, you have 6 verbs: pedir, servir, dormir, morir, repetir, and preferir. Notice that all of these verbs are IR verbs. And also, all of these verbs are going to be stem-changing verbs or boot verbs in the present tense. So if we look at pedir, my E is going to change to an I, so my gerund form will become pidiendo. Servir, ir I, sirviendo. Dormir has an O, so my O will change to U and it becomes durmiendo. Morir, my O changes to U and it becomes muriendo. Repetir has 2 E's. We always change the E that's closest to the end of the verb, so it becomes repitiendo. And the same thing with preferir. My E closest to the end changes and it becomes prefiriendo.